For today's video, what we're going to do is take a little bit of a look into what I'm bringing on this holiday, and at the same time we can have a conversation about why this trip is so special to me. Back in 2019, I was living in Amsterdam and I had just gotten hold of cameras and I was really starting to enjoy the process, taking terrible photos, but absolutely loving it. As I was going through and getting a feel for it, I was looking for inspiration, and one of the places that I found a lot of inspiration was Andy Mumford's both YouTube channel and just his website. When I was looking at his website, it was clear that he managed to go to a lot of amazing places and capture them really beautifully. And that was a bit of an inspiration to me because I have been fortunate enough to experience a lot of different places on this planet, and I think sometimes you forget over time how nice they are or how beautiful it is. And for me, it was about making a memory that I can actually show people and they can also experience. It turns out that's actually rather challenging to do, but that's kind of been what I've been working on for the last 5 years, to try and get a little bit better and better, so that each time I go out there, I capture a little bit more of that true feeling that's out there. I guess where the story goes from there is I was taking a lot of photos in Amsterdam City, which is a very unique city. It looks very unique, but it's probably not really where my inspiration comes from. I'm definitely now I'm more aware that being out in nature is 100% more my space, and between wildlife and landscapes is kind of the stuff that really gets me excited. Even then, I must have known in some way, because I was going through Andy Mumford's website and I was stopped by some of the photos that were there. And those photos were in the Dolomites. And I then ended up watching a video of him in the Dolomites, and I was blown away by, firstly, the scenery, and then in addition to that, how he was able to capture it. And I just knew that I had to get there. So with that in mind, what I ended up doing is I looked at how hard it was to get to the Dolomites from where I was living in Amsterdam, and it was going to be about a 10-hour train ride, and I was all in. Nothing had been booked just yet, but I was about to start booking things when COVID first hit. We kind of decided that our best option would probably be to go back to Australia rather than potentially being locked down in a student-sized apartment in the Netherlands. And that's what we ended up doing. And that was probably a good decision, but the unfortunate thing about that is I never got my Dolomites trip. For me, it's significant in two ways. The first is that I go somewhere that I was really interested in 5 years ago. And then the second part to that is that I actually now am better equipped to capture that experience. And I'm really looking forward to giving it a go. And I'm looking forward to bringing you along on the journey as well. And maybe it'll inspire you to do something similar, or maybe something completely different. So with that in mind, it's actually really important to consider what sort of lenses or cameras you would be taking to a location, because it's really going to influence how you take photos. Personally, I think there's certain lenses for certain occasions, and that is without a doubt. But I also feel like you probably like a certain style of photography versus another style. So your event photographers are getting in amongst people, they're getting up nice and close, and they're getting shots that might be, especially the wider shots, are where you have to be right in the middle of the action. And from owning cameras for about 5 years now, I have found out that that's not really where I like to be. I kind of prefer the longer shot and picking out details. With that in mind, I'll have a little bit of a show of the camera gear that I'm bringing, and some of it is because that's what I think is best for the job, and some of it is also because obviously we're all limited by funding to some degree. We might start with the 70-200, and this is probably one of my favorite lenses. It really allows you to capture things that are just out of reach of most like smartphones. You can capture a lot of detail from a distance, and it's also kind of the photography that I really enjoy doing. If you've seen my Instagram channel, I like getting those close-up shots of animals, and so this lens really helps me with that. I also feel like specifically for the Dolomites, you're looking at probably taking photos of mountains, and although often when you think of that, you're thinking of getting these wide shots to capture everything, but I also think there's an opportunity to get a slightly different shot where you focus in on the details and it's maybe a shot that's a little bit less done. So I'm curious to give that a go as well. So that's that one. It's definitely in the bag. The next one I have is actually filming right now, and you'll see a little bit of B-roll of it, but it's the 24-105, and this is currently my go-to lens just because of how versatile it is. Both of those lenses are constant f4 apertures, which means that they're pretty good in low light, but as soon as the sun starts to go down, you're going to be struggling a bit. That lens is going to be used a lot, I'd imagine, because it has that wider end. It's going to be interesting because I actually sold my 14-35 f4, and most people would recommend for a Dolomites trip. I'm hoping I can get away with the 24-105, but I'll let you know as we progress through our trip. The next lens that I have is the Canon 35mm. So this is a great lens because it's a 1.8, and again, it allows you to capture a slightly wider field of view. It's going to be useful in those cases where you're working with a little bit less light, but you still want to capture something. So knowing my track record, we're probably going to be running late somewhere, the sun's going to be going down, and I'm going to want to take a photo, but I want to make sure that it's a usable photo. It's not, the ISO isn't cranked all the way up, and I end up looking at the image at the end of the day and going, oh, I wish I'd taken that a little bit differently. So hopefully this lens will help me with that. And in the same sort of vein, I've also got the 50mm, and this thing is tiny. Both of those lenses are quite small. They actually fit in one of the little pockets that I have in my bag, which is excellent because it saves a bit of space. And as you probably know, when you're traveling with camera gear, somehow it seems like you have no room for anything else because you've just got so much. So anything that reduces a little bit of space is always going to be good. The next thing that I'm going to grab is this, which is the camera body. It's super important because obviously you can't take any photos with those lenses if you don't have the body. This is the Canon R5 Mark 1. It's an absolutely awesome camera. I've used it a fair bit before. I'm actually borrowing this one, so I'll have to take very good care of it, but specifically because I only have 200mm on the long end, its ability to be cropped in because it's a 45 megapixel camera is actually going to be very useful for me. And again, it just helps to save weight, also save costs, so I don't have to go out and buy a 100-400. There's a good chance that I won't end up needing it just because of the environment that we're in, but I prefer to have more tools if possible. So I'm very lucky to be able to borrow this one, and it's going to be an absolute essential for the trip, and I can't wait to get stuck in using it. To accompany a couple of the lenses, what I've got is I have, so on the camera that is filming right now, there's a mist filter, subtle effect, so it just blooms the highlights a little bit. I think personally the reason that I use it is because it just gives a slightly different look compared to other photos, and you get that straight out of the camera. It's something that you can create in post, but I seem to take a lot of photos. If I spend lots of time editing them, it can really become a big process. So if I can try and capture what I want in the photo in the first place, it actually ends up being a little bit easier for me. So this whole system as well, just so that it's clear, is the Maglock filter system by Polar Pro. They're really awesome. They're all magnetic and they have a locking mechanism. I'll put up a quick video here and you'll see that essentially what it does is to mount for each of your lenses. For me, I've got it for the two f4 lenses because those are the ones I use most, and I actually don't know if they go as small as the 35mm, 50mm. So, and then once it's on your camera, it then has a cap which you can put on, and then you remove the lens cap, put the lens filter on, unlock, open up, and then it's good to go. And then same thing, locks back up with magnets, and then you can lock it, and then it's not, once it's actually connected, it's not going anywhere. You can't get rid of it. So the other two lenses that I have with that is the circular polarizer, a great filter, especially when you're trying to get rid of some of the reflections. I use it a lot if ever I'm taking photos of cars or water. You can cut through water really easily. Creates a really cool effect. And then the other one is pretty much essential for any filming, which hopefully we'll be doing a fair bit of, because as soon as it gets bright, you either have to really jack up the f-stop on the cameras, or if you put a filter on it, you can still keep it manageable and get that depth of field that we all like. I'd also say that's a very important one specifically for video. So the next thing that I have, and this is again more video centric, is the Insta360. The X4, you've probably seen it before. It's a pretty great little thing because really what you can do is you can end up walking around with it. Right now, I'll show you, you can film both what's in front of you and what's behind you. So it just creates a really easy way to capture a lot of footage. It doesn't make it amazing for working in post because you have to then go and find the right spot. But at the end of the day, you know that you've captured anything that you want to. So how I often use this is I'll just put it into the back of a bag. It comes with a little like invisible selfie stick, and what you can do is you can just put that into the bag, and then as you're walking along, it's just capturing everything around you. So I'm really looking forward to giving that a go. Both when we're driving, I'll probably do more of a time-lapse sort of thing, and then also when we're hiking, and you can really get an idea for the experience, which yeah, hopefully you'll see on here as well. So I think that just about covers the lenses that I'm taking and why I'm taking them as well. When we're going to be climbing the Dolomites and that sort of thing, I'm really looking forward to getting the opportunity to capture something that I've seen photographed so many times now, just because it's been an interest of mine. And I'm really looking forward to trying to capture that feeling that I'm going to have while I'm there. And then the other thing is that's not actually where our holiday ends, because we also go to Slovenia, which I've been chatting to some friends who've been there quite recently, and they said it's absolutely stunning. You almost can't take a bad photo because there's so much to capture. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then we're finishing it off in Croatia before heading back to Milan. So lots of opportunities to take photos, and yeah, I'm ready to give it a crack. I'm looking forward to seeing if I can really capture the experience there, and I guess bring you guys along for the journey, and hopefully inspire some of you to get out there and take some photos and maybe go explore an area that you've been wanting to go to for a long time, or even plan a big trip like we have. This one's been in planning process for probably at least a year now. I would say if there's a trip out there that you're thinking, oh, I'd like to do that, I think you should just start planning it now and then try and make it all fit. And I'll catch you out there, and I'll see you in the next one.